40,000 years ago, someone is sitting alone in a cave. No matches, no metal, no writing, just a chunk of mammoth tusk and a sharp stone. And they start carving. Not a spear point, not a needle, nothing that puts food in their mouth. They carve a figure standing on two legs, like a person. But where the face should be, they cut the head of a lion. This ate up around 400 hours. Hours out of a life that rarely made it past 30. All for a creature that never walked the earth. One nobody had ever laid eyes on, because it doesn't exist. And somehow, that beat out food. This figure turned up in a German cave, Hohensteinstadel. We call it the Lion Man, about a foot of carved mammoth ivory. It's the oldest hard proof that a human pictured something that isn't real. A body that's half person, half animal. The first time a mind cooked up a creature nature never made. And once you see how early this shows up, it gets under your skin. Did ancient humans believe in God? Not your God, not any church you'd recognize, but in something, a force, a world you can't lay a hand on. There was no writing yet. Nobody left a note saying, "I believe," so the answer isn't in words. It's in what people did when nothing forced them to. And the first place to look is death. An animal dies, and the body stays right where it dropped. That's the whole ritual. There isn't one. Now jump to a place called Sungir in Russia, 34,000 years ago. Two boys are buried there head to head, maybe 10 and 12 years old. Over 10,000 beads, every single one carved from mammoth ivory. One bead by experiment took about 45 minutes to make. Do the math. That's years of work, sewn onto two kids who were already gone. Spears, fox teeth, carved armbands, they handed their best to people who could never pay it back. A person only does that for one reason. They think the dead go somewhere, that someone's still watching. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. These were hungry people, hunting just to stay alive. They had no calories to spare, and they spent them anyway, on the invisible. And if that already feels like deep history, it's about to get a lot deeper. Sungir is 34,000 years old. Now, wind it back almost 3 times that. Kafse Cave, in what's now Israel, 92,000 years ago. There too, they bury their dead and dust the bodies with red ochre. Ochre is a natural paint, red stone ground down into powder. Somebody has to go find it, dig it out, grind it down. Extra work for one thing only, to turn a dead body red. The color of blood, the color of life, on someone who has none of it left. And here's the strange part. The ones doing this weren't always even us, not Homo sapiens, a different kind of human. Shanidar Cave, northern Iraq. Back in the 50s, archaeologist Ralph Selecki dug up the bones of 10 Neanderthals there. Neanderthals aren't our ancestors, a separate branch that died out, and these run about 70,000 years old. And one of them was lying like he'd been laid down on purpose. In the soil around the body, Ralph Selecki found flower pollen and figured the Neanderthal had been buried on a bed of flowers. They called it the flower burial, and people still argue about it today. Maybe rodents or wind drag the pollen in, so the flowers are up for debate. But flowers or no flowers, another kind of human wasn't tossing their dead aside. They laid them out. They cared for them after death. So death meant something to them too. The hunch that death isn't the end of everything is older than our own species. Okay, ancient humans cared for their dead, but caring for the dead still isn't a god. A god is when you dream up someone who isn't there. And this is where the Lion Man comes back, because he wasn't a one-off. On the island of Sulawesi, Indonesia, in 2017, a painting turns up on a cave wall. Archaeologist Adam Brum dates it, 44,000 years. It's the oldest known scene that actually tells a story on a wall. The picture is a hunt, figures with spears running down wild pigs and buffalo. But take a close look at the hunters. One's got a tail, another a muzzle where the face should be. Half human, half beast. They're called therianthropes. Same kind of thing as the Lion Man, just thousands of miles and thousands of years apart. Think about that. Germany and Indonesia, different people, different eras, and both hands draw the exact same thing, a creature that doesn't exist in nature. Nobody ever ran into a lion-headed man, yet people all over the world dreamed him up. And once you can picture someone who isn't there, you can picture someone bigger than you. Someone who watches from above and calls the shots. From there to a god, it's a single step. So why would a mind do this? Why invent a lion man or a sky that watches? One guess is almost embarrassingly simple. The same mind that kept a person alive nudged them toward the invisible. Out in the wild, it pays to assume everything around you is alive. The grass twitches, and a person is already running. If it was the wind, they bolted for nothing. If it was a predator, they're still breathing. A mind that sees a someone behind everything tends to last longer. So ancient humans got good at one thing, spotting a living something behind every event. And if someone's behind the rustle in the bushes, someone's behind the storm too, and behind death. For a long time, we told ourselves one tidy story about belief. First, people learned to farm, and farming made spare food, and spare food made spare time. Spare time built villages, and villages got rich, got bored, got organized. And only then, fed and settled, did people come up with temples and gods. Religion was dessert, the last thing you carry to the table. In 1994, a German archaeologist drove out to a hill in Turkey to test that story. His name was Klaus Schmidt, and the locals called the hill Göbekli Tepe, Potbelly Hill. Schmidt took one look at the broken stone and figured everyone had it wrong. He started digging, and under the hill he found rings of massive stone pillars, some 16 feet tall, some weighing 10 tons, shaped like a T, set in circles, with animals carved across them: foxes, scorpions, vultures, snakes. This was a real temple, raised by a crowd, for something. They ran the dating. The oldest rings are about 11,500 years old, carved around 9,500 BC. Older than writing, the wheel, the first city, 7,000 years older than Stonehenge. And not one of the builders was a farmer. Researchers picked through their leftovers: wild gazelle, wild boar, wild grain. These were hunters. No metal, no pottery, no villages. People who, by that tidy story, had no business building anything. And they hauled 10-ton pillars up a hill, stones you can't budge alone. You need hundreds of hands. And what they gathered around wasn't a wall against enemies, it was a place to believe. Now, go back to the tidy story: farming first, then gods. Göbekli Tepe says it ran the other way around. Schmidt boiled it down to 5 words. First came the temple, then the city. To keep building those rings, you needed a crowd in one spot. And to feed a crowd in one spot, wild hunting doesn't cut it anymore. So right next to the oldest temples, we find some of the first planted grain on Earth. Sit with that. Maybe people didn't build temples because they settled down. Maybe they settled down because they wanted to keep building temples. Belief didn't show up after civilization. It might be the reason civilization kicked off at all. The thing we wrote off as dessert may have been the fire under the whole kitchen, and that habit never went anywhere. Think back over your last few days. You feel eyes on you in an empty room. You talk at a grave to someone who can't hear you. You make a quiet promise to whoever it is you believe in. That's not weakness, and it's not stupid. It's a habit tens of thousands of years old, still humming under a modern life. So, did ancient humans believe in God? We'll never hear them answer. They left no scripture, no name, no prayer we can read. But they left a lion man that swallowed 400 hours. They left the dead dusted and red, like blood. They left children dressed in a fortune of bone, for the dark. They left 10-ton pillars dragged up a hill for something you couldn't see. Long before the first temple, long before the word God, a human was already looking up and asking. The same question sitting in front of you right now. And the answer to it is still everyone's own to make.